Hi, I'm Kerry Hecht, the CEO and founder of 10K Humans. And today we are talking to someone I've actually known for 35 years, something like that. Mark, you want to take a second to introduce yourself?
Hi, Mark Teich here. Market research manager. I've been doing all kinds of market research. I consider myself kind of a Swiss Army knife of market research. I've done all phases of quantitative and qualitative research. Started out working at Mark in the 90s, and that's where I met Kerry. So we go back a ways.
Let's start with your most recent role. So what were you responsible for? What kind of team did you work with, and what outcomes were you most proud of?
Well, the last 5 years, I've been working for the qualitative team at Decision Analyst, kind of as a flight controller, office coordinator, working with the clients as we bring in projects. Decision Analyst is really trying to work on the combination qual and quant. So
Sure.
in our role there, we were supporting several different qual teams. And they would bring the work to us, and then we would discuss it with the clients that they brought to us, set up, whether we're talking online one-on-ones, online focus groups, of course. I started with the department right before COVID came.
Yeah.
So we had a big change from, we had started to do online kind of stuff, but of course we switched to all online for about 2 or 3 years.
Talk to me a little bit about what kinds of, so whether you're designing, I want to stick with quant for just a second.
Okay.
So thinking about when you're designing a survey, what are the kinds of things you do and you work with your client on to make sure that the survey is something that is reasonable for a participant to be asked to complete?
Right, that is definitely a good point, because the survey creep is something you have to hold the clients back, because you're right, as you mentioned before, every department of your client is going to want their own questions added to this survey questions and screener questions, and it's really boiling down, what are the questions we need to ask for this survey, and we've got to keep it below 15 minutes.
One of the things that I always think is so important is to keep grounding them back into what the question is or what the problem is that they're aiming to solve. And does this speak to those objectives? And I think that that's a good way of doing that, but I do know that agencies are often in a very tight spot because they're getting pressure from both sides, right? They're getting the pressure from the client to add more, do more, and then they're getting pressure from whether it is the recruiting company for qualitative or, the panel company that's just saying, look, this is too long. It's not reasonable to ask people to do. And that I think is something that goes both to quant and qual. Sometimes we see these journaling exercises, where someone is asking a participant to log every eating and drinking occasion throughout the course of the entire day, for 2 weeks. And, when you push back on the client about that and you say, how long do you think that this is going to take them to do? They'll say, well, it took me 10 minutes. And I'm like, I'm not asking how long it took you to write the questions and then copy and paste them, 26 times. I'm asking, Yeah. I'm asking how long do you think, and do people even process information this day? Like, do you honestly think you're going to get someone that is going to log into a journal at every single time they even think about eating or drinking something, how they feel about that, So I know that can be a tricky.
The good news is that, there's some good platforms out there that can help with that now. That you can make it interesting, an online bulletin board that's, it draws you in. We've been using, or at a Decision Analyst, we were using a Recollective, which is
they're great.
A great company to set up those kinds of things for. It can handle the pre-webcam interview questions. It can do bulletin boards. You can get them to, give you some background before you jump into discussion with them. It can do the one-on-ones and the focus groups.
Yeah, they've got one of the best and most robust platforms out there. And they've been I think what's so great about them as a company and a tech partner is that their product has been solid for, 15 years, right? You know what I mean? So, and it's always staying ahead of the curve as far as what technology is offering people these days, which I think leads me to a great next question. So, like, what other pieces of software have you seen that you find interesting or exciting about the possibility of?
We were exploring for adopting some of the new AI platforms for the analysis of qualitative data.
Yeah.
So we tried a company called Coloop that was really good. A Recollective's trying to incorporate some of that AI stuff too. It's still early. You have to really test the and verify the hypothesis that they are throwing at you. Sometimes of course, AI will hallucinate things, and
Sure.
you just have to go in there and make sure what it's saying actually matches the data.
As you look ahead, how would you describe the kind of role or company that you're most interested in?
I'm looking for a company that is invested in market research and understands the uses and the limitations for incorporating market research in their company. It's not so much of an industry I'm looking at, but I want a company that believes in market research.
Yeah. Do you want to stay on, would you prefer to stay with agency, or are you looking for client side roles or vendor roles?
Agency's nice because you get a lot of variety and different kinds of things coming down. That's one of the things I liked at Decision Analyst was it was constantly, they have a variety of customers over all kinds of industries.
So would you say that in your most recent positions, what were you focused on most? Was it B2B or B2C?
Mostly B2C, a variety of different things. We did some B2B. But mostly B2C and dealing with testing products on the tool side. We did some work for Stanley Black & Decker.
Yeah.
We did a lot for lawnmower and outdoor equipment providers.
Sure. Cool.
We did a big job with Honda a couple of years ago. I think our president and one of the Honda people had produced it. Oops, sorry. Yes. So we've done a big car project. I like having a variety of work, but if there's a company that's out there focusing their product in market research and need someone to really head a robust market research plan of action, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. Something that is fully engaging. I want to be at a place where the results matter. When you bring the quant or qual data are combined, it's actionable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is one of the things. So in some of these conversations I've had, it's been interesting because there have been, a few people who have mentioned that at some point market research got away from, or maybe it was just the agency that they worked for, but they got away from making the recommendations on what the next steps should be, right? So it was presenting data without giving the necessary strategic advice to follow that up with. Right. And I think that that's really important because, again, it is, at the end of the day, we want to solve problems and we want, the information that we are giving people to be action oriented, right? So I think that's really, really an important thing.
That's where I think some projects get lost. They say they're trying to explore a question, and every answer should lead to another question. And some people
Sure.
just stop at that first answer and say, okay. And, the market research study goes on a shelf and it sits there for, eternity, and nobody actually does anything with it.
Have you done anything interesting, or what I should say, what kinds of things have you done when you are analyzing and presenting the data to the client that might be different than your typical, like PowerPoint slides? Like, how do you present the information in a way that makes it something that people want to read, right? I always think about the tracking studies that I worked on over the years where you end up with a 120-page PowerPoint presentation and you're not convinced that anyone's looking at it.
Right. One of the projects I was associated with, the decision analyst, which was more before I focused in on the qual side of things, was a quant study called the American Home Comfort Study. Explores from the contractor perspective, for the contractor perspective, on consumer insights into HVAC, the arena. And it's a study they put out every 3 years, and it's I think the last one I was involved with was big study. And it's a lot of data from consumers who purchased a HVAC system in the past 2 years. And we go through and we ask them everything about that purchase. That's one of those long studies where once we screen the right person, it's a good 30-minute study. But we collect a lot of that information and then compile that into PowerPoint slides to present at conventions, whether it's the it used to be Comfort Tech, and now I think it's something else. And we had a variety of things, and just being able to go in and present that and show the PowerPoint. And PowerPoint's very interesting. One thing I've heard is that when you're going through a PowerPoint report, you've got the information on the screen, but you really don't want to be just repeating what that information on the screen is. You have to actually interpret it and tell them what it means. And I think preparing that kind of stuff, that's always fun.
So if anyone wanted to get in touch with you, how would they go about that?
My email is SMARKTEICH,
which is your name. So that's S Mark. Yes.
That's Mark Teich pro@gmail.com.
And you're LinkedIn, of course, right?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm went ahead and checked out Indeed. That's a new one that's out there. I'm not sure how good that one's working, but I know the LinkedIn is always a good contact approach.
Yeah, great. And for anyone that knows me, you can also reach out to me, and I'm happy to facilitate an introduction. So Mark, this has been great. And if you need anything else, yeah. All right, cool. I'm going to hit stop recording. Okay.